see. Let's see.
Great Reflection Podcast. This show is a sacred space for all of us to talk about domestic violence, but not limited to. We will share reflective stories of everyday life real events. Domestic violence is a hidden epidemic that affects millions of people worldwide. It is a complex issue with far-reaching consequences, often shrouded off in silence and the shade. In this podcast, we'll explore the different facets of domestic violence, from its causes and effects to the path of recovery. We'll hear from survivors and advocates who are working tirelessly to break the cycle of abuse. Together, we will shed some light in the pressing issues and empower those affected to seek help and find hope. With that being said, welcome again to the Phenomenal Reflection Podcast. Let's begin the conversation.
Hello and welcome everyone. I am Phenomenal Mindy. Welcome to another episode of Domestic Friday here on Spotify and here on all of the other social media outlets. Before we go ahead and get started, we're going to title this Healing While Co-Parenting with Someone Who Hurt You. Let me say this again. We are titling this Healing While Co-Parent with Someone Who Hurts You. Give me just a moment here. And get things rolling here. One second. Okay. So, with that being said, what we're going to do, we're going to title this called Healing While Co-Parenting with Someone Who Hurt You. And this topic is kind of difficult, but we're gonna go ahead and dive right in it because we know that this topic is necessary for everybody who have children. So there's a special kind of pain that doesn't get talked about enough. It's the pain of trying to heal while still having to communicate and cooperate, and sometimes even be cordial with the person who will hurt you because, you share a child. You don't get the clean break that you kind of want or that you're looking for. You don't get the luxury of disappearing. You don't get to heal in silence, but instead you're expecting to be mature, peaceful, flexible, and put your child first, even when your nervous system, is still telling you, remember the harm. If this is you, I want you to know something right now that's very important. You are not weak for struggling with this, okay? You are not bitter for needing boundaries, okay? And you are not broken because healing feels, kind of hard in a certain kind of way when the wounds keeps walking back into your life. Today we're talking about what healing really looks like when you're co-parenting, okay? When you're co-parenting with someone who causes you pain. And with that being said, we're gonna, this episode intent here is to speak about the parent who are doing the impossible, okay? Healing in your own wounds while trying to stay connected to someone that caused you pain is very, very difficult. I am aware because there's a child involved in this situation. It validates the complexity, the name of the grief and the anger, and offer grounds tools for surviving and healing without pretending it doesn't hurt. So we don't want to pretend. First thing first that I end up writing down that I think will be necessary and I think that would fit this topic when I begin to go over what I'm going to write or what I'm going to talk about. I kind of said, let me include everything that people go through in this certain topic. Let me include this, okay? So if you're over here, I want you to share this live with somebody that's struggling to co-parent with somebody that really, really hurt them. I know we all have been through some hurt. Share this live with somebody that need to see this or hear this, that it can be beneficial to. The pain no one prepares you for. Let's dive right deep into it. The pain no one prepares you for. No one tells you how confusing this kind of healing is. You could be doing the work, you can be doing the therapy, you could be praying, you could be journaling, you could be self-reflecting, and you still can find yourself kind of triggered through a simple text message. If that's you in the chat, put I in the chat. If that's you, put I into the chat. Again, share this video to somebody that may need this video, that it can be beneficial to. Somebody that's struggling to co-parent with the parent that they don't really want to, or the parent that caused them hurt or harm in certain type of way. Share this live with them. The pain no one prepares you for. Now, you can forgive and still not feel safe. You can want peace and still feel like you got rage in you. Just being honest. And the guilt, the guilt, it kind of hits you hard. You might think, if I'm healed, why does this still hurt? Am I damaging my child in a certain type of way by feeling this way? Why can't I just move on? Let me say this clearly. Let me say this, and I'm going to say this for the people in the back, that can't come to the front. Healing is not the absence of emotion. It's definitely not. Healing is, learning how to respond instead of reacting. You don't need to react to every single text message. You don't need to react to every single thing. It's a thing like pick and choose your battles on what you want to debate about. You're healing inside in a situation that keeps reopening the wound that changes everything for you. That changes every single thing. When you got to keep constantly facing the person, and you got to be really mature. You got to step outside of yourself. And you got to realize that, hey, I'm human just like everybody else. I'm not ashamed to say, hey, I'm struggling with this, because we all struggle with co-parenting with somebody who really hurt us. You don't even want to talk to them. But guess what you got to do? You got to put your pride to the side and look at the bigger picture. You choose your battles when you're dealing with a co-parent. Don't argue about everything. Everything don't have to be addressed. It don't. Everything don't have to be spoken upon. Why you feel you got to get the last word? Why you feel you got to say something? If he said he come pick up the kid and then you agreeing to that certain day, let that be that on there. Don't say remember the time when you did this and you did that. No, don't do that. Because you really pulling the scab off your own wounds when you do that. If you really being honest with yourself, So co-parenting versus healing. Let's dive deep into this. Co-parenting versus healing. Here's the truth. This may sting a little bit, You may need to heal from the person first, so you think, in order for you to do this co-parenting thing. But co-parenting doesn't mean rehashing the past. No, what you did to me. No, what I did to you. No, you remember when you did this to me? I had something to say to you when you did this to me. And then you turn around and explaining your trauma. You remember you hurt my feelings when you said, when you didn't bring me nothing to eat back. You really hurt my feelings when you ain't do that. When we was in a relationship, and you remember that was one of the biggest arguments that we had. And so I'm just trying to let you know right now in this present time and moment that when you didn't bring me nothing to eat back to the house, that's when I was mad. Why you pick you got to pick and choose your battles. Don't keep explaining the trauma. Offering emotional access, pretending like nothing never happened. You can talk to yourself, or you can talk to someone outside of him or her. Get you a psychiatrist. Get you a homegirl, a homeboy, an accountability partner, someone gonna hold you accountable for the stuff you say. Your child needs stability, not forced closeness. They don't need that. Sometimes healthy co-parenting looks like Brief communication, meaning we don't need to talk about nothing for a long period of time. We don't need to be talking about nothing. Neutral tone. When you're speaking with the co-parent, why are you getting loud and irate? Because you still mad from the trauma? No, baby, it's time to grow up. It's time to grow up. Thank you for the follow. It's time to grow up. Clear boundaries. You want to set those boundaries. You want to set the tone for the situation. You don't need to be irate and talking all mess and junk. No, if y'all co-parenting, y'all need to be on one agenda. You don't need to be talking about nothing else. No emotional endangerment. And that doesn't make you cold. It just make you wise. You don't got to speak on everything. You don't got to react to everything. You know, you ain't got to do that. Stop bringing up old stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the current stuff. If you felt like that you need to talk about the hurt, you should have did that when you left, or when either one of y'all left. You should have did that then. You know, you shouldn't have kept going on and on and on and on. Here are a few healing center boundaries. Stick to children-related topics only. I mean, don't talk about nothing else. Nothing. Don't say, how was your day? Did you eat lunch yesterday? Did you go with your homeboys? Did you go to the party that we were supposed to go to, but we had ended up breaking up? No. Them ain't the type of topics you need to be having. You need to be having real conversations about what are we going to do about this child? How are we going to do the meetup? How are we going to do the contact? How are we going to do communication with each other? You don't need to be talking about old stuff. Because that's old. That's how that's helping the situation. And both of y'all bickering back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because a lot of y'all still holding trauma and don't know how to separate business from personal. Co-parenting is business. We got to cohabitate for this child. Y'all feel what I'm saying? If you feel what I'm saying, and make sure y'all spamming the likes over here and share the light to somebody that need to hear this. Like, stick to child-related topics. You don't owe access to your personal life, feelings, or growth. You don't have to talk about that. Oh, child, I went on a cruise, child, honey. Let me show you the picture where I went on the cruise. Let me pick this up. Let me show you. Show what? What you talking about? All that needs to be avoided. We just need to talk about how we gonna co-parent and do this effectively. And if you feel that something is a trigger, you need to delay your response. And sometimes you just need to repackage the delivery. You know what I'm saying? It's not about kissing this person, but it's not about all of that. We grown. I'm pretty sure you figure you were grown when y'all lay down and had the child. So you can delay your response and say, hold on, let me get a couple of minutes and let me bag back. Hey, Cunningham, how are you? Let me bag back and let me assess the situation and let me just say, hold up. Even if you feel like in text messages, certain tones can go either way. And a lot of time we as people, we like to take the conversation and flip the conversation, and it ain't even like that. That's because you triggered. So you need to work on your own. That's a personal thing. Just because we co-parenting doesn't mean that, oh, this is an everybody thing and we need to work on ourselves personally in a whole group set. No. Go find your own time while you ain't got the child. Find your healing. Find what that looks like for you. Everybody's journey is different. You know? And a lot of women waste a lot of time trying to tell a man what they did in a relationship. Girl, do you think that man care? He trying to get away from you. You crazy. So then he's saying to himself, oh, man, I got to go a certain amount of many years to deal with her. You could have said the trauma earlier on. Thank you for the follow, Chris. You ain't gotta say it now. It's time to co-parent. I ain't heard of you 2-3 weeks. Now you want to talk about what happened? No. We gotta stop treating each other like we each adult like your children. You can have a conversation with him or her. Cause I promise you, baby, I look the other way. And if you can't talk, text. If you can't text, email. You know, you ain't gotta be all that extra stuff. A lot of times, cause your feelings still in it. So you got to tell yourself, okay, now it's over. Let's figure out how we gonna co-parent with this child. How we gonna deal with each other. Where we gonna meet up at. How often we gonna get this child. Ain't talking about something, yeah, you remember when I used to eat that thing, you know what I'm saying? No. We ain't talking about that. We're not talking about that. Why you want to talk about that now? Cause what? We talk about one thing, and that's co-parenting. And learn your triggers so they won't be a trigger and people use them as ammo. Learn them. You sit back and baby like a tree planted by the water, you shall not be moved. I'm just being honest. No emotional labor. You are not responsible for managing their guilt, their anger, or their confusion. Now, sometimes we have to own up to the shit we done did. You may not like it. It may not have been pretty. But sometimes we got to own it. And we got to say to ourselves, you know what? Yeah, I did do that. You know, I did leave in a shabby way. That don't make you no less of a man or a woman because you admit to something. Nah. Let the court or the agreements do the talking, structure, protect peace. Now, when I wrote this down, I had to really be clear with myself. Everybody don't go through no courts. In my situation, I didn't want to go through the courts at all. But my child father insists on going to the courts simply because he was burned from his mother. And I'm going to explain. His mother had a child with a guy, and the guy was picking up the child all the time. Was picking up the child, taking the child, getting the child on the weekend, and all this here. His mother waited until she turned 18 or about to turn 18 and slapped the child support on the guy. And when she did that, that kind of affected my child's father. So from his standpoint, all he wanted to do was put himself on child support because he didn't want me to be 18 years later and be like, okay, this is what we doing. You know, but I'm not that type of person, but that's what he wanted. So, hey, by all means, he had already stated he don't want to be taking out child support. He want to pay his child support and there be that on there. He won't have to worry about that because he'll be too old to be trying to worry about that. And he said he'd be looking for retirement. And I understood what he was saying because that's what he communicated to me. He wanted to put the white folks in the business. That's something he wanted to do, not me. So who am I to say, okay, this is what you want to do? This how you want to run the fees or as you looking at it? This how you want to run it? I'm going to run it with you. We're going to run this marathon together. We're going to run it out, you know? So that's how he got affected with that. Thank you for the light. So boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks, and you decide who gets the key. You don't have to always let a parent into your space because you're co-parenting with them. And if you can't co-parent with the other parent effectively, I mean, something wrong. Because y'all can come to the gathering and y'all can come to the meeting effectively. I'm just saying. Y'all laid up there, you know, y'all could communicate in. So now we ain't together no more. We ain't seeing eye to eye. We co-parenting. Now you can't see nothing. Thank you for that follow. I don't understand. Like how that go? It's like saying you can't drink water, but you drink alcohol. Like, come on now. like, be real with yourself. How to love your child without losing yourself. This is one of the biggest things I think men struggle with the most, simply because they don't have the system or they haven't been taught how to navigate this. And this is really hard. And I'm here to help y'all out. I promise you, I'm going to help you out. One of the biggest fear parents carry is this. If I set this boundary, will my child suffer? Why would you think your child suffer if you set this boundary? And I think as parents, we don't give ourselves a lot of grace. We pressure ourselves into thinking, oh, if I do this, then this gonna happen. And sometimes they don't even happen the way you in the thought of you just don't put fear in your own self. But again, you have to know the type of person that you're dealing with, you laid down with, you came to the gathering with, whatever that looks like. Thank you for that share, Jay. So, but here's what children actually need. They need emotional, regulated parents, predictable, safety. All kids want safety, baby. They need to know that mama and daddy is there. And whatever form or fashion y'all had to do behind closed doors, they need to know that we made it happen. On the day they graduate, we need to know you made it happen for them. It shouldn't be no division. Truth without oversharing. This has got to be the biggest problem. Truth with oversharing. And what I mean by this, when I wrote this down, you oversharing too much information to the kids. Why are you sharing this information with the children? Why? See, now you need a 504 plan in the IEP too, cause why you doing that? Why you oversharing shit that ain't even they business to even know? Why you sharing that? Mama did XYZ to daddy. Now, why you sharing that? They don't need to know all of that. These are fragile hearts. These are fragile souls. So why are we trying to share our truth that happened between adults? You ain't even got to speak bad upon the child, because guess what? Upon the parent, because guess what? Sooner or later, the child will figure out when they get grown who was the parent that was full of shit. They definitely will figure out who the parent that was full of it. When she says, I can't hear it, sis. I'm not understanding why on Facebook. I'm not understanding why. I'm not understanding. If you can hear me over on YouTube, let me know if you can hear me on YouTube. So I'm really just not understanding why it's important for you to share the trauma that you can't even fathom. Why? Why is it important for you to tell about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing? That ain't got nothing to do with the child. Why you so eager to explain that? Explain why you couldn't get it together. Explain that. Explain why the father was this and this and that, and why y'all couldn't cohabitate because you were crazy. Explain that. I appreciate the gift, Jay. Thank you so much. You don't need to tell everything, but you can just be the model where they can see. They can see. Self-respect, emotional honesty, healthy distance. Your healing teaches your child that self-worth looks like even silence. Like I just said, you cannot say nothing. Let's go ahead and let's go on over here and let's go meet your father. And don't worry about this stuff. And if father come again to you, now, baby, you look good today. You know you always look good. Now that you need to set boundaries. Because why are you talking about that? Like, why? Why is that even a discussion of topic? But we lose ourselves by accepting the little things in conversation that has nothing to do with the kid. You can't get along with her because you still accepting the foolery. You still listening to the conversations. You sucking them in because you nosy. Straight to the point, stick to the point, stick to the script. This is a tight ship over here. We ain't over here to talk about all that. And then you need to learn how to curve. Curve the conversation. You know? They get to talking, well, I went over so-and-so, how we went out last night, and then we saw that person used to hang with, we had saw them, and then when we had saw them, they had asked me, do I still mess with you? Cut the conversation. Why do you care? Those are boundaries that you need to set. You know? This part is hard. Now, when the other parent is not healing at all, and you done healed and you done moved on, and you done said what needs to be said, you done did the necessary work on yourself, sometimes you're growing and sometimes they not. Sometimes they minimize the pain, sometimes they rewrite history. You know? You can't force no one to heal. If they ain't ready to heal, you can't force them to do that. Nah. What made you think you can force them to do that? You can't. You know? So here's what helps. Stop expecting accountability where there is none. People are raised from many different walks of life. If they don't know nothing about accountability, you beating a dead horse to try to get them to see some reason in it. You beating a dead horse. Release those fantasies of mutual closure. When you ready to walk away from somebody, anybody you ready to walk away from, you ain't need no closure from them. Nah. Have you ever been a place and you've been ready to go and you just up and just left the party so quick and early? And they talked to you later. That's like, I ain't even know you left. Because I ain't need to tell you bye. I was ready to get up out of here. I done been to several places and the energy was off. And I done already spoke to somebody next and they were like, girl, I didn't know you left. I'm getting up out of here. I ain't got to say, okay, bye-bye. Because guess what? They're going to take another 20, 30 minutes to get out the door to do that. And I ain't, I'm ready to leave now. I mean, do it and do it now. You know? You got to release those fantasies. You got to release. Focus on the nervous systems that it's not their behavior. Healing doesn't require their participation. So you can't force them to heal and say, well, I did this, so what you working on yourself to do? No. It requires your permission to choose peace over proof. You know, on some side of that brain, you got to turn it off. You know, again, as I say, you got to stick to the script. Stick to the script. This is a tight program. This program's so tight. You know, stick to the script. No, we ain't talking about nothing else. But again, man, she was so bad. She was so fine. He was so fine. All these tattoos all over his body and stuff. So, you know, I just want to see him one more time. I just want to smash one more time. That's what got you in the situation you're in now. Doing shit over the edge. Why? Because your inner self ain't cleaned up. You ain't cleaned up in the inside. You know, you focusing on the wrong things. Focus on the kid and healing. If you got your own space, worry about your own space. Don't give energy to nothing that doesn't drive your ship. Why you arguing with her? Why you going back and forward? Like, why? We constantly going through the same cycle over and over and over. That's insanity. Why you doing that? You know? Stop appeasing. And say, hey, you know what? I'm just trying to see my kid. I'm just trying to see my child. I appreciate it if we can just minimize all the extra talk, all the small talk. They accept you for the truth. They may not accept it right then and there, but they'll look back later and say, you know what? They were telling the truth about what they, you know. I can't do nothing but accept it. But when you tell them a lie, you destroy us. So be real and be upfront and say, hey, it's about the kid. Kid only. Let's minimize the small talk. Don't get to texting and showing old pictures of how y'all was a family and all that. No. We ain't doing all of that. Why you doing that? Like, why? Are your feelings still involved? Guess what? Get over it. You know? Y'all not together. Accept it as a fact. Accept it as a fact and know that this is the reality of what's going on. Don't fool yourself. And I have a problem with people not in the kid's life. What about the children when the children became children? Nobody looked out for the children. I don't give a damn what you had to go through. And a lot of times I hear the excuse, well, I didn't have the funds to pay for an attorney. But you were just throwing money last week on clothes, shoes. I mean, we're going to talk about it. Let's be real. You done bought yourself something to eat. You done did all that. But you ain't got no money. I can remember about 6 months ago, I was end up helping a father on Facebook. And he was discussing that he didn't know what to do in his situation. And he hadn't seen his child. He wanted to see his child. And he didn't know what to do. He figured he done been through all the hoops and all this. No. Get you an attorney. Listen, fellas. Listen to me and listen to me clearly. Get you an attorney. You can get you one for about $8K, $10K. Save up for it. If they grown, then this won't work. This don't apply. Get you an attorney. Subpoena the family court. That's what you do. Cause some females, they be still bitter. They be bitter to the core. They don't want to accept the truth or the reality is we not together no more. So therefore, any other woman that you come in contact with, I'm going to make sure your life will live in hell simply because now you doing the things that I wanted you to do with her and now you're not doing them with me. That's how they go. That's what they do. So now they bitter. Now you can't see your child. We ain't doing all of that no more. We too grown for that. It's time to grow up. So, I said, well, subpoena the court and you get your funds. It got to make sense to you because you have to think about if you was in those shoes as a child. And then some of y'all say, well, I just stopped fighting. But then you want the kid to talk to you. You weak to them. You're weak. You couldn't even fight. And stop trying to say, well, no, I didn't fight because I didn't want to go through all of that. So why am I even here? That goes back to what I said. Nobody think about the children when the children were children. It's your responsibility. They ain't asked to be here. They ain't asked to be here. And don't think when you get old that there's going to be some return on that. Ain't no return on that. They don't owe you that. They don't owe you to take care of you. Nah. You brought them here. So, we got to be real with ourselves. And say, I messed up. Now what can I do to fix it? And I had an ex-husband who had a child. And he wasn't in her life for about 13 years. And then decided to come back around. Hey, Lex, how are you, boo? Then decided to come back around. And when he decided to come back around to the kid, she didn't want to hear shit from him. You've been gone 13 years. 13 years. So you got to figure out why my kid don't want to talk to me. What's the problem? What's the issue? Why my kid don't want to fool with me? Because what effort did you put forward to? Oh, you asked one time and you done did a whole lot. You done did a whole lot. But you done got locked up on the corner 5 times and you back out for the 6th time to do it again. So what the loyalty lies at? Appreciate the likes. What the loyalty lies at? Like, be real with yourself. Like, I'm being serious on this podcast tonight. Like, we got to stop all the foolery. We got to stop fooling ourselves. So, the kid look at you like you a joke. You're a clown. You know what I'm saying? And so, for the years that he missed, I intervened. She didn't want to hear nothing from him. So what I had told him he had to do, you can't parent that kid now at 18. You can't parent no kid at 18. You let the years pass. So now what you got to try to do is be their friend. You missed out on that. You missed out. You missed out entirely. So you got to be real with yourself and say, hey, I can't do nothing but shit. Just be their friend now. You can't, and then when they let you in, you can't come in and be all tough and then I'm your mama. I'm your mama. I birthed you in. No. It don't work like that. At all. So you got to heal from your wounds. And you got to make sure you healed from your wounds. So every time you talk to that parent, it won't become a trigger. Like, seriously, it's time. It's time to get ourselves together. It's time to stop fooling ourselves with these children. We need to leave a legacy of footprints in the sand. We don't need to leave a legacy of foolery. It already was enough camaraderie back then. We don't need to continue to keep doing that. We don't. At some point, we got to stop this train. We got to get off. Thank you for the likes. We got to get off. So in my closing message, if you are healing while raising a child with someone who caused you pain, I want you to hear this. You are brave. You are evolving and you're doing sacred work. Healing doesn't always look like distant. Sometimes it looks like restrained. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like showing up anyway. You know, be gentle with yourself. You're not behind, you're becoming. You're not behind, you're becoming. If this episode spoke to you, share it with somebody. Share it with another parent who needs to feel seen in whatever that looks like for them. And if you're navigating this right now, make sure you share this with somebody else and y'all can talk about this later on and heal from things. You can message me if that's what you want to do, because you don't have an ear or a listening voice or anyone to hear what you want to say. Inbox me. My link is in the bio. My phone number is in the bio. Call me. Email me. You know. Share it with a parent, like I said, who just need to hear this. So, because healing doesn't have to be lonely. It don't. I don't know who said that or who made that. Healing doesn't have to be lonely. And until next time, protect your peace. Honor your progress. Let me say it one more time for the people that's in the back. Protect your peace. Honor your progress. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it. Start today, tonight. Move on it. I love you. And until next time, I will see you on Domestic Friday. Bye for now.